My wife got pregnant by her boss, then asked me to raise their affair baby. I gave her a public reckoning she'll never forget. Chapter 1. The Ultrasound and the Ultimate Betrayal. It all started with a text that landed like a brick in my lap. "We need to talk. Come home early." It was from my wife, Lila. That message alone was enough to raise alarm bells. Lila wasn't the "let's sit down and talk" type. She was usually blunt, sharp even, and didn't dance around words. Still, I couldn't just ignore it. I left work early, the weight of unease tightening around me the whole drive home. Her car was already in the driveway when I pulled up. I walked inside and found her pacing the living room. Her hands clenched around a thick manila envelope like it held the key to some nuclear launch codes. When she spotted me, she didn't greet me. She simply pointed to the couch. "Sit down," she ordered, like I was an employee she was about to fire. I sat, every nerve screaming. She handed me the envelope wordlessly. Inside it was an ultrasound image. My heart jumped, but not in joy. I looked up at her face, waiting for some hint of emotion. Happiness, fear, regret, nothing. Her face was cold, flat. "I'm pregnant," she said, her voice as lifeless as her expression. A pause. And then came the knife. "But it's not yours." The world spun. My mind couldn't process it fast enough. Before I could even ask, she crossed her arms and added, "It's Damon's, my boss." And then, like she was making me some generous offer, she continued, "But I want you to help raise the baby." I just sat there, stunned, unable to move. "You've always wanted a family," she said, her tone dripping with condescension, as if I were some pathetic stray she'd decided to rescue. "You'd be a great father. Damon, well, he's not the dad type." It felt like I'd been shot, stabbed, and then laughed at all in the same breath. She sat across from me, calm, poised, like she'd just negotiated a business deal instead of detonating our marriage. That was the moment something inside me snapped, not with rage, but with chilling clarity. She thought I would accept this. She had no idea who she was dealing with. Chapter 2. The Quiet Before the Storm. For the next week, I played the part of the stunned, broken husband, barely speaking, drifting around like a ghost in my own home. Lila seemed to take my silence as a green light. She walked around the house with a smug little smirk, humming to herself, rubbing her belly like she was some glowing goddess of motherhood. She even started sharing the news. Her friends sent cryptic congratulations. Her mother called to praise her honesty and courage for being so upfront about the affair. Apparently, Lila had twisted the story, painting herself as some brave, misunderstood woman caught in a complicated situation. And me. I was recast as the lucky, infertile sap who should have been grateful to finally have a child in the house. But every second of my silence had a purpose. While she preened in front of her mirror, I was busy working behind the scenes. First, I hired a private investigator, one of the best in town. Within days, I had photos, videos, credit card statements, and even audio recordings of Lila and Damon. Then, I reached out to Damon's wife, Clara, a corporate attorney with a reputation so ruthless it sent shivers down people's spines. I showed her everything. Clara simply stared at the evidence for a moment, then gave me the coldest smile I'd ever seen. "He's finished," she said. "Let's burn them together." That was the moment I knew I wasn't alone in this war. That evening I came home, kissed Lila's cheek, and asked her what she wanted for dinner. She giggled and said, "See, this is why you'd be the better father. Damon just isn't emotionally available." Oh, she'd see how emotionally available I could be. Chapter 3. The Reckoning Begins. The very next morning, Lila left early for her prenatal yoga class, or so she claimed. Damon usually met her after those sessions. As soon as she was gone, I got to work. I copied everything from the investigator's flash drive, photos, text logs, video clips, receipts, into a neat folder. Then, I created a burner email and sent the folder to 3 key places: Damon's company board of directors, the HR department at Lila's workplace, Damon's wife Clara, though she'd already planned to forward it from her own account for maximum damage. Subject line: "This is what loyalty looks like from your leadership." By noon, the fallout began. Lila got an urgent summons from HR. Damon too. Legal teams, senior management, and HR surrounded them both. That afternoon, Clara texted me a single emoji: snowflake. That evening, Lila stumbled through the front door, pale and shaken. They suspended me," she stammered, barely above a whisper. "And Damon too. We're both under investigation for misconduct. Someone sent everything." Feigned confusion. "Everything." Tears welled in her eyes. "You're going to leave me, aren't you?" I walked past her without a word, grabbed a small suitcase and said coldly, "Pack what you need. The rest will be sent to Damon's address. You two deserve each other." That night, I locked myself in the guest room. She cried herself to sleep. I didn't lose a wink. Chapter 4. Divorce, DNA, and the final blow. The next morning I met with my attorney. We'd been prepping the divorce papers quietly for weeks. Everything was airtight down to the last clause. I wasn't going to let rage blind me. I wanted this done with surgical precision. And then I handed over the piece de resistance. DNA results. A water bottle from her doctor's office and a few strands from her brush were all it took. The result: 0% chance of paternity. I wasn't the father. No surprise, but now I had it in black and white. That night, as Lila sat watching some soulless TV show, I placed an envelope in front of her. Her hands trembled as she opened it, flipping through the divorce papers in horror, until she reached the DNA results. Her face crumbled. You tested the baby," she gasped. I didn't say a word. Tears spilled down her face. "You said you wanted a family. It's still a baby, Tyler." I stared at her, cold and unmoved. "Yes, Damon's baby, not mine. I'm done raising anything born of betrayal." She collapsed into sobs, loud, ugly, guttural. I simply stood and walked away, leaving her on the couch. "If you need help," I said, pausing in the doorway, "ask Damon. If he still has a job." By morning I was gone. She woke up to an empty closet, locked bank accounts, and a note taped to the front door. "I still have my dignity. You never had any. Don't contact me again." Chapter 5. The Fallout. The days that followed were pure devastation for her. Her credit card stopped working. Her phone calls and emails went unanswered. Her friends distanced themselves. She was frozen out, isolated. Then came the professional wreckage. I'd sent every detail of her affair, including the DNA test, to her company's board. Damon. He was fired within 48 hours. Not just for the affair but for sleeping with multiple subordinates. His wife, Clara, served him with divorce papers the same day, seizing their assets and full custody of their children. Damon lost his job, his marriage, and his reputation in one swift blow. But Lila's public humiliation wasn't over yet. At a charity gala she insisted on attending, desperate to salvage her image, a woman walked up and splashed a full glass of red wine on her white dress, shouting across the crowd, "Next time, try keeping your legs closed around married men." The room went silent. Lila fled the event in tears, her once carefully curated social life in shambles. I watched it all unfold, from a safe, distant corner. Epilogue. Her choices, her consequences. Months passed. Lila tried everything to crawl back. Emails, unknown numbers, even showing up near my new job, trying to accidentally run into me. But she always left alone. By then, I'd relocated to another city, started a better job, and began volunteering at a children's reading center, something I'd always wanted to do but shelved during our marriage. I was finally living life on my terms. As for Damon, he vanished, last I heard, working some odd jobs in a remote part of South America. Lila ended up in a tiny apartment, barely scraping by, abandoned by everyone. She still posted old photos from our marriage on social media, fishing for sympathy. Then one day, an email arrived from her. No subject. No apology. Just one bitter line. You got your revenge. Hope it made you happy. I simply smiled, leaned back, and deleted every trace of her from my life. Because closure isn't found in hearing "I'm sorry." Comes when your silence says everything. Would you have done the same? Share your thoughts below. Like, comment, and subscribe to Truth and Takedowns for more gripping tales of betrayal and cold justice. 'Cause here every secret has its price. And every betrayal meets its reckoning.